So India may have actually lost their first test. In fact, in the third test of the Border Gavaskar series, they have, of course, sealed the series already. They've retained the Border Gavaskar trophy. But World Test Championship qualification was at stake, and unfortunately, India will have to wait for that. But before we can think about what happens in that WTC final, it's important to analyze where exactly it is that India went wrong this time around in that third test in Indore. And believe you me when I say there were quite a few key moments that actually helped the Indian team actually end up getting to this point where they were staring down the barrel of a rather heavy loss, which is exactly what happened. So without further ado, let's just go in and check what are the reasons or the key reasons that we feel India ended up on the losing side of this test match. The first of those, well, it should be pretty obvious. It is, of course, that first innings collapse. Now, when you're winning the toss and choosing to bat on the first day of a test match on a track where you know it's going to be spinning, the first hour or 2 hours is generally speaking the best time you'll have to bat on that first day. Unfortunately for India, by the time the first 2 hours, which of course meant the first session, was done, they were already 7 wickets down, and shortly after the lunch break ended, their first innings was done and dusted for a paltry 109 runs. Now again, hardly ideal considering that, you know, as I said, batting was only going to get tougher, and this really kept Australia in the match because it allowed them to actually develop a healthy lead going forward. But it wasn't the only reason that, of course, India ended up, you know, in such a predicament, but there was another let's say a shortcoming by two key performers in that first innings, which also ended up costing India in the long run. I am, of course, talking about Ravichandran Ashwin and Ravindra Jadeja. They were slightly below par in the first innings. Now, again, if you quickly look over the scorecard, you'd be wondering why it is I'm saying that, considering they got 7 wickets between them, with Umesh Yadav getting the other 3. However, in the early parts of the first innings, neither Ashwin nor, in fact, Jadeja were actually accurate or as accurate as they have been in the first 2 tests. This time around, they were trying very hard to bowl it a little too full and push it through a little too fast. As a result, the Australians were able to actually negotiate them far more easily than they were in the previous 2 tests, where they were giving the ball a little less speed and they were pitching it slightly on the good length rather than the full length of the pitch. That good length gave it plenty of time to spin, and the fact that you were bowling at around 80-85 kilometers per hour also helped. This time around, however, by the time India's spin twins managed to actually correct course, by that point Australia had already developed a pretty healthy lead, one that they would actually end up using to their advantage. But thanks also, that lead itself also came about thanks in large part to one man. Now, of course, we'll talk about that later, but it is also worth noting that India's major woes, or one of their biggest woes in the second innings, was the fact that arguably their best batsman in the series so far, Axar Patel, wasn't actually promoted up the order. In fact, in the first innings, you'd remember he came in around 7, and a lot of us were saying at that point that, look, this is probably a little too low to be batting Axar Patel, considering the fact that he's looked your most assured player in this particular series with the bat. Second innings, he came out to bat at a different position, but it was lower than his initial position of number 7. He was now batting at number 9. It made no sense whatsoever at that point, and with the benefit of hindsight, we can say that it looks even worse, because I know that Axar is generally a lower order bat, but if he's looked your best batsman, and if you're looking to promote a left-hander up the order in Jadeja at number 5 to break the monotony of right-handers you have, why would you not back a Jadeja and Axar to do the job, considering how well he's batted in these tough conditions? In fact, statistically right now, he's your best batsman. He has the best average. He's got the second most runs. You really should be backing him higher up the order at this point. Instead, you ended up demoting him low down the order, which meant that he had to be playing alongside tail-enders, and so it was as much a battle of survival as it was of getting runs. For Australia, though, there was another key reason why they ended up, getting that big lead, and that was, of course, thanks in no small part to Usman Khawaja, who you can argue has been their batsman of the series. He's looked really assured against spin bowling at the top of the order. His defense has been solid, even when he's looked to play sweep shots. Yes, he has fallen to them a couple of times, but a lot of that also comes down to some really good catching, and he hasn't looked out of sorts. Yes, today he ended up getting trapped by an absolute beauty from Ashwin that he ended up edging to the keeper, but you're going to get a good ball, and on these type of pitches, it's very harsh to be able to judge a batsman like that. That being said, though, he's been their best batsman, and his 60 arguably was very, very key to, of course, Australia getting that all-important first innings lead. Also key, and not probably mentioned here, but I'll give it a note anyway, was Jadeja's no ball to Marnus Labuschagne that helped Labuschagne and Khawaja put together a 96-run stand for the second wicket. That was also important because, as I said, it ended up giving them a base to make a big lead. And then, of course, the one major reason why in the second innings India ended up coming undone, this man right here, Nathan Lyon. Now, we all know for a fact that Gary, as he's fondly known, is a top spinner regardless of pretty much whatever conditions you present him, and he's really finally actually gotten that time to get acclimatized to Indian conditions and figure out how it works best to his bowling, because you saw that happen here more often than not. He was looking to bowl at certain lengths. He was very consistent with where it is that he was pitching the ball, and then he was utilizing his variations to great effect. Yes, he was bowling often from around the wicket to right-handers and looking to kind of let it straighten. At times he was looking to use his conventional off-spinner. He used all of his variations, all of the street smarts, the guile, the skill that he's picked up over his career to great effect. And 8 wickets in one innings, wow. Take a bow, and that pretty much ensured that Australia wouldn't really have a massive target to chase in the second innings, and day 3 of the test match was merely very much just a formality, despite India getting just a little bit of hope when Ashwin managed to get Khawaja out early. So that for us are the major reasons why India have in fact lost out on this particular test match. You can let us know your reasons or what you feel were the key turning points in the matches down and below in the comments, and don't forget to like this video, share it to your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, tap that bell icon, follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and last but not least, don't forget to download the SportsTak app as well. Thank you all once again for joining us. If you haven't already, please go ahead and check out some other videos that we've done through the day. For now though, from my side, goodbye.